When Capcom introduced Fatalis, the legendary Black Dragon, into Monster Hunter World Iceborne in October of 2020, it wasn't just another formidable monster for players to face. It also marked the arrival of one of the most powerful and controversial armor sets in the game's history. The Fatalis armor quickly became known as the most broken armor set in Monster Hunter World, altering the gameplay landscape and significantly impacting the endgame experience. So in this video, I will be going over why the Fatalis armor was deemed so overpowered and broken, how it disrupted the game's balance, and the broader implications for the player community. The Fatalis armor set was designed to embody the fearsome and ancient power of the Black Dragon, Fatalis, a creature so powerful that it was considered a myth within the game's lore. The armor set not only provided high base defense, but also boasted a combination of skills that were unprecedented in their synergy and effectiveness, and the choice of skills as well, to note, were extremely top tier skills. So why was it good? So the Fatalis armor, let's start with its piece combinations. So if you start with 2 pieces, the armor would unlock the level caps of all the skills that you have equipped. So if you did have, for example, Divine Blessing, this would go past its level 3 cap and you would be able to put that to level 5 and so forth for many other skills. Of course, not all skills have a level cap to unlock, but there were a handful that the player did have access to, and just wearing 2 pieces of Fatalis armor would allow the player to have this capability. And then if the player was to equip 4 pieces of Fatalis armor, it would give them access to true razor sharp or spare shot, depending on whether or not they're running a Blade Master build or a Gunner build. And all this would do is, for the Blade Masters, it would reduce the rate at which their sharpness depletes, and then for the Gunner users, there was a small chance, I think it was 30% off the top of my head, where if you do shoot a shot of any type of ammunition, it has a chance to not use up that ammo, which was very handy for if you were using clusters or crags and that more higher tier ammunition, where you're not exactly wanting to expend it all, and if you are able to get some free shots in, that is greatly appreciated as a gunner. And this would of course be intrinsically in the armor set just for having 4 pieces equipped, which was insane. And then just to top it all off, if you did have 4 pieces equipped, you also get full health and stamina capacity at all times. So at the start of a quest you will have it, if you die you will have it, and this was just extremely helpful, so you didn't have to make sure that you got that plus 50 when you're eating, and you can direct that elsewhere if need be. But just overall it was a very nice set of intrinsic skills to have right off the bat with this armor set. And then moving on to the armor sets themselves, so we had the Alpha set, which of course is the general sets of Monster Hunter World armors, where there are less decoration slots but more of a put together build, and in this set it would provide some insane skills for non-mixed build players. It would give the player skills like stun resistance, critical eye, weakness exploit, handicraft, evade window, and all the while still offering a ridiculous amount of decoration slot potential, which is generally where the armor set is seen to be game breaking. And then as for the beta set, of course this is where there are less skills from the alpha set, but generally you usually have a few more decoration slots. But this beta set is where things get spicy, because of course, yes, we get less skills, but this armor set, of all sets in the game, goes above and beyond through the stratosphere, like onto other planets, in terms of how many decoration slots the player has access to, giving the player a blank canvas of high stat armor to slot in their dream builds. Not to mention the lower level skills of the skills I just mentioned, like critical eye and weakness exploit, still being in the armor to some degree, but of course just not as higher of a level. But the amount of decoration slots and the tier of the decoration slots that you get in this armor set is through the roof, and this is generally the reason as to why so many people see this armor set as broken. The introduction of this armor set had a profound impact on the balance of Monster Hunter World and its endgame. Prior to its release, players typically had to make significant trade-offs between offense, defense and utility when selecting their armor sets and their mixed builds. For instance, opting for high damage builds often meant sacrificing some defense or vice versa, making gameplay more challenging and strategic. But then you have the Fatalis armor that came along, which allowed players to have it all. Have a massive damage output, high survivability and unparalleled flexibility in skill customization without even having to change their armor, instead just having a lot of decorations to be able to completely change the armor's direction and focus without taking a piece off. This newfound power would lead to a lot of the game's hardest contents becoming fairly simple. Monsters that once posed a significant challenge, requiring careful planning and teamwork, became much easier to defeat. The Fatalis armor essentially removed the need for strategic planning, as players could rely on their armor's inherent strength to carry them through battles that would otherwise have required that careful preparation and execution. The armor's power also had a ripple effect on the multiplayer experience, as you'd expect, as in cooperative play, teams of hunters equipped with Fatalis armor could easily overpower monsters, leading to faster hunts and less reliance on team strategy. As for the community's response to the Fatalis armor, it was fairly mixed. On one hand, many players embraced the armor's power, relishing in the newfound ability to dominate the monsters that had previously given them trouble, and the armor set would become a symbol of achievement, a reward for overcoming one of the game's most challenging encounters. And for me personally, that is where I sit as well. I'm glad the Fatalis armor is as overpowered as it is, as Fatalis was not exactly an easy fight, and to have slain Fatalis multiple times in order to get the monster's armor set, it definitely is worthy of what it is, and is a good little send off to the player that they've completed world, or at least the most difficult monster in world. Of course there is Arch-Tempered Velkhana, which many could argue is a fairly difficult monster for Iceborne's endgame. But Fatalis itself, of course, was that final monster that they added into the game that wasn't a variant of a monster that we already had, and it would challenge most of the players in Monster Hunter World, at least when it launched. And now, of course, people are probably killing Fatalis within 5 minutes, but as of the time it came out, I think it was perfect as that symbol of achievement from Capcom, that if you've killed Fatalis enough times, he is an armor set that you're going to go absolutely mop the floor with the rest of the game's roster. And then on the other hand, you had some players and critics lamenting the armor's effect on game balance. They argued that it would undermine, and it kind of did, the core principles of the Monster Hunter series, which traditionally emphasized careful planning, skillful execution and strategic gameplay, and the Fatalis armor in its broken state turned the game into a more straightforward action experience where brute force often trumped tactical finesse. Long term, the introduction of the Fatalis armor set did highlight the challenges developers faced when adding powerful content to a live service game. While it did provide a thrilling and over-the-top reward for players, it also skewed the game's balance in a way that was difficult to rectify. Future content releases had to account for the power creep introduced by the Fatalis armor, and this would lead to, of course, design of monsters and quests that were forced to be able to match this armor set so it could challenge even the most overpowered hunters. And that's where we got the Arch-Tempered Velkhana fight, and I think they did a good job with amping that fight up through the roof so it could match the Fatalis armor. And some could even argue that the Arch-Tempered Velkhana set, for at least Frost builds, is better than the Fatalis armor, or at least that's what I remember hearing. It's been a while since I looked into that debate, but there were quite a few people that were claiming that. But of course, let me know down below in the comment section if you think there is a specific armor build that can be done much better using different pieces opposed to the Fatalis armor set. But with that said, guys, that does bring us to the end of this video. Let me know down below what you think of the Fatalis armor set, and if you like to use it or you like to avoid it, because of how broken it is, as I'm sure the community will be split on this, but I would assume the majority will like to use the armor set, as the game's way past its life cycle now. It is a very good reward for endgame players that have done it all. They've defeated the strongest monster in the game. I think it's a perfect sense of achievement, and it was a good testament to the power of a reward in a video game. But of course, once again, let me know your thoughts down below, and I look forward to seeing how the discussion continues. As always, a like would be extremely appreciated if you did enjoy the video. It does help out the channel a ton, and hopefully there should be a good resurgence on this channel. I am trying my best now to start planning out my videos properly, so I can get into the flow of it and make sure there's at least one video every week or two. And yeah, guys, be sure to subscribe for a lot more Monster Hunter content. Monster Hunter Wilds is on the way. It looks fantastic. Like, I love the fact that you can have 2 weapons at once now. I did see a little clip of that not too long ago, which was absolutely insane. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to join our Discord, links at the top of the description. I hope to see more of you guys in there. It is still very active, given my YouTube channel hasn't been that active, which is an absolute blessing to have such good individuals in there. And thank you all so much for the support on that. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.